Hey, Tenno Archer here, and I'm kicking off a new series of videos starting with the essentials of modding weapons. If you're like me, you've been scouring the internet for any information that we can use to make sense of this crazy Warframe game. Information overload can be a real problem. There's just so much to know. So my goal is just to pass along the core elements of things you need to know that will make the most dramatic change in your gameplay if you haven't already been doing these things. Don't forget, you can always catch me on Twitch and Twitter, links right below. Otherwise, let's get to it. Mods are one of the most important facets of your Warframe career, but it's not always clear what impact they have in your gameplay. Modding your weapons properly is massively important and can directly affect the success you have on missions. So we're going to get into our first rule of thumb, and again, these are just general concepts. If you have something else that works well for you, keep doing that. This is for the folks that may not know any better. But basically, the first thing we're going to want to do is make sure that we are modding for damage. This might seem like a no-brainer, but there's one thing I didn't fully grasp at first, mostly because I didn't understand the whole upgrade system and upgrading mods. Different weapon types have different mods that are associated with these. Serration is for rifles and bows. You'll see Point Blank for shotguns, and Hornet Strike for pistols, etc. The main thing, however, is you're looking for that just flat damage boost. You can see I've gotten about 5 or 6 points, it looks like, into Serration. It gets expensive really quickly, but getting the first several tiers is relatively cheap and something I definitely recommend. Equipping these mods takes up capacity points. If you look at the top left of your screen, you'll see the maximum capacity and then how much is available of that capacity for you to install mods. Think of it as like a point buy if you're familiar with like RPG games for stats or like army building for Warhammer, things like that. You're spending points to get mods to improve your gun. If you're starting a brand new weapon, it makes sense that you would want to go for damage first before you do anything else, because that will get you your best bang for your buck. Now, looking through your available mods, you might notice that you might have some duplicates that have the same name, but look slightly different. So if you see here, you see this little kind of cracked art on the card, the flawed type, and then Serration, which is the normal. If you notice, there's only 3 pips, so you can only upgrade it 3 times inside your mod upgrades, whereas this full Serration, you can go all the way up to 10. Now, this is because these flawed are basically beginner mods. They drop early on in some of the beginning quests, and they work just as well as the other ones, they just cap out a lot earlier. So just because you have flawed, don't be afraid about upgrading these to start with, because any potential damage increase is much better than not. So what you're going to want to do, so we've got our Serration equipped. Let's say this is a brand new rifle we're using. Well, it is for me, I guess. And we'll go click on mods down here. And we have installed mods automatically selected. So these are the mods that we already have equipped on here. We see we have our flawed Serration for rifle damage. We then click on that, and we start fusing into selected mod. Now this gives it an unranked, but we can put points, and each time we click over, you can see there's an endo cost and then a credit cost. So if this is the only kind of damage buff we have at the beginning for this mod, definitely use it. Because basically they're there for new players to use, and eventually you will want to replace them though. But if you see, and when we go to upgrade, we'll go to mods here on this Soma Prime, and then select Serration, ranking it up. So 1,280 endo, 61,000 credits. It gets really expensive, but you'll definitely want to spend the points. There's some more manageable ones in there in between that will be better than the flawed mods that you'll find early on. Let me take a second to do a call out real quick, because there's something I really didn't understand until far too late in the game. You don't have to swap mods between weapons. So I didn't know this for a while, and after I was finishing leveling a weapon, I'd go pull the mods off, go sell it, whatever, to free up inventory space. Totally unnecessary. If you've got the same mod across multiple weapons, it saves, it just automatically moves it over, whatever it takes to make sense in your mind, but you don't actually have to physically move the mods that you have installed between your equipment. That's true for Warframes, mods on all your weapons and rifles and whatnot. You don't have to do it. So now you've got a couple levels into your weapon, and you've got some extra capacity to spend. One of my things that I like to do is put some elemental damage on there, and there's tons of videos and guides on how to do this. The one I kind of go with, just default, is the Hellfire, or basically the heat and the electricity. If you look down here, you see it gives you radiation, which is kind of a cool status effect, because if it sticks a radiation on the target, it causes confusion, which means that they're going to take some time to fire at each other instead of at you, which I always find to be very helpful. Last thing I'd like to touch on is what to do with multiple mods. Now, as you saw, we had like that, this serration won't fit on a level 1 gun unless it happens to have one of these discount things, which is an entirely separate mechanic, but something to keep an eye on. Basically, if you have a matching icon on a mod, it gives you the capacity for half price, so keep an eye out for that. But let's say we didn't have that, we wouldn't have the capacity to put on a full serration. So sometimes having extra ones available that we can just kind of pop on just to get a little bit of a damage bonus, maybe increase it 1 or 2. This might be a good reason to keep some of your flawed mods that you've spent some time upgrading. Keep it around just to use for guns that are very early in their capacity career. Also, another thing you may notice if you've been playing for any amount of time is you get a lot of mods, like a whole lot. I'm still very early on, and I am accumulating lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of mods. So a lot of the guides that I read early on, they were very specific. Do not just go through and sell them, which basically if you go back into your mods, we'll just pull them all up. You can actually sort by duplicate, so you can see which extra ones you got. So I've got like 35 ammo cases. Probably don't need anything like that. So I can select those. I'm going to say, okay, all but one. And then I can sell 34 of those for 6,800 credits, which, let me tell you, early on in your career is a fair amount of money. I'm not going to lie. A lot of the guides, as I was saying, were very specific. No, you need endo. Send them all into endo. You're going to be happier if you do that. I'm here to tell you it's okay. If you're in a credit crunch, which the very early segments of the game, you absolutely are. I needed credits way more than I needed endo at that stage. I'm just now getting to the point where it's like, okay, now I need a bit more endo. I've got a little bit of a credit stockpile, and I'm starting to run into endo problems. So I've started, melting down, dissolving for endo here. But I'm just here to let you know it's okay. If you need credits because you need that new blueprint, or, hey, I didn't even have credits to be able to level up like the point blanks or the vitalities or any of the critical mods that we need to have to actually play the game well, yeah, go ahead, get some credits out of them. That's it, just a quick and dirty overview of the very basics to get your game up to that next level for the beginning players. I hope it helps you out, and if you have any tips, or if I missed anything, or you found something that helps you out in your gameplay, please leave a comment. Otherwise, see you next time.